This is your Weather Extreme video for Sunday, June the 14th, Flag Day. I'm meteorologist Brian Peters. Thanks for tuning in. We've got a lot of weather to talk about. There's a quick look at the temperature trace on my weather station in Helena. Interesting to note that we had a little shower nearby between 2 and 3 o'clock, and then we had another shower that moved over the area right around 6, and that certainly dropped the temperature back a good 15 degrees or so. This morning, our Skycam network from Birmingham showing some leftover clouds from the convection yesterday. High pressure continues to build into the southeastern U.S. at the surface and aloft as well. We see that the ridge is certainly taking hold over the southeastern U.S. In the meantime, we still have this weakness over Texas and into the western Gulf of Mexico, and that's where we may see Tropical Storm Bill. If it gets named, it's got a little bit of negative possibilities. There's some positive possibilities and some negative. We'll talk about that in just a second. Temperatures across central Alabama generally around the 70-degree mark this morning. A few spots in the northeast getting a little bit cooler with some 60s. We expect temperatures to climb into the lower 90s with the heat ridge coming in over the southeastern U.S. The quantitative precipitation forecast, or QPF, pretty much gives you an idea of where we anticipate the potential tropical storm will be headed for the next several days, over the next 5 days, with the potential for some heavy rains across parts of East Texas and Arkansas and eastern Oklahoma. And parts of those areas, of course, don't need any additional rain. Storm Prediction Center is outlooking a slight risk in parts of the eastern Great Lakes and then back into the extreme small section of the extreme western Great Lakes area on day 1. Day 2, the slight risk is primarily from Pennsylvania back over to about St. Louis. And then on day 3, we see that the slight risk is in that similar area from Pennsylvania back over towards St. Louis. And then we have another area in South Dakota, parts of Montana and Wyoming. And the tropics, as I say, are becoming a little more active. We have this area of concern and disturbed weather over the Yucatan Peninsula, and the Hurricane Center is placing about a 50% chance on development over the next 48 hours. And the consensus of models is that it should move, whatever it does, whether it intensifies or doesn't intensify, it should move on a fairly nice track northwestward and into the Texas coast, the Texas Gulf Coast, sometime probably about midweek. And in the Pacific, we're still watching Carlos, which is coming very close to the western coast of Mexico, and it is forecast to come ashore Tuesday as a hurricane. All right, let's take a look at the 06Z GFS model run. And this morning's map for today, we see that area of disturbed weather over the Yucatan and the moisture coming up into the western sections of the lower Mississippi River Valley. But as the high pressure builds in from the southeast coast, we see that the convection is down a little bit. And by the time we get out to Monday, that disturbance is showing up in the western Gulf, and of course we're seeing a good deal of precipitation with it as it moves across the western Gulf, again, whether or not it develops or not. And very quickly, just give you a look at the HRR. This is for later this afternoon, and the HRR is suggesting, of course, that and this is the high resolution model, suggesting that the convection will be today more off to our west. All right. Get out to Tuesday, and we see that little weakness over Texas as that tropical system moves into the Texas coast on Tuesday. And once again, that could bring some heavy rains up into East Texas and parts of the western sections of the lower Mississippi River Valley. We see that begins to open up into a wave on Wednesday, and so the future forecast for central Alabama is going to depend on exactly what this does. The GFS is suggesting it does open up and get caught up in the westerlies and move across the Ohio River Valley on Thursday. And if it does that, then it's likely to more or less see a weak front move down into that area. So we could see temperatures wane a little bit towards the latter part of the week with the addition of clouds. And in addition to that, we've got the trough moving off, and so the ridging comes back on Friday. and that would suggest that we'll be back to, from Friday into the weekend, we'd be back to the possibility of scattered showers. But again, the possibility that a weak front at least gets down into North Alabama would certainly be welcome, and that would allow temperatures to drop back, say, to highs around 90 degrees. As we get into Saturday and again on Sunday, we see that the ridge over the southern tier of the United States becomes the dominant feature, so we're once again back to that moist air mass with the possibility of daily showers. And looking out into voodoo country, the ridge is the main feature that we see as we head out towards the latter part of June. And some hope that the very late part of June we might see a little weak trough, but that's kind of iffy, and we're getting way out into voodoo country for that. Well, that'll do it for the Weather Xtreme video for this morning. Expect to have the next one posted first thing on Monday morning. In the meantime, stay tuned to the blog for the latest updates on the ever-changing Alabama weather situation. Have a great Sunday, and Godspeed.